Well, howdy, folks. How's it going today? I hope you're all doing really good. Well, we're back on the Lone Ranger out here in the shop, and I just got done drilling some holes in the new bridge that I've been working on for this. The original one was in pretty bad shape, but there was enough there to at least have something to go by as a template. So in any case, I thought I'd go over how I laid out the holes and, get everything lined up. This is really simple and it worked really well. So what we're looking at right here now is just some bamboo barbecue skewers going down through the holes just to make sure they line up with the holes in the body. So basically what I did, let me just pull this up here a little bit. Now I've got a piece of masking tape on here. I'll just pull that off. I put it back on there just for demonstration purposes, but okay, let's slide that right out. Okay, pretty basic. Let me just set that off to the side. So get these out of the way as well. Okay. So basically, what we did here, we got a center mark on the tape, and I made a mark on the guitar, and I set it back out over the paint a little bit here, just to make sure that when we put the new bridge on, it's gonna, cover this up. So let me just kind of line this up roughly, something like that. So whoops, sorry about that. Actually, what I did was took another piece of tape before I put this one on, and I put it just next to the spot where the paint was missing here, where the other bridge was, just so I'd have a reference line to line up this piece of tape, okay? Now, once that was done, I just took a pencil and pushed down through the tape in the holes that were there, and transferred that over onto my bridge, marked the center on the bridge here, and just put the tape right on it. Okay, now that's rough, it's just for demonstration purposes, and it's not exactly straight. But in any case, that's how I achieved the layout of the holes and everything. And it worked really well. I didn't even, use any sort of measuring tools, just that alone. So when I put the bamboo skewers in, then I was able to tell if it was lined up properly. Okay, so I just stuck a few of those back in there. Now, I still have to do some sanding on the bridge and cut the wingtips to length as well. I left those long. But as you can see, there's no wood showing or anything like that, which is what we're after. So that lines up well. Now, don't worry too much. Even if you, have one hole that's off just slightly. I'm going to explain that in a second. But so I drilled 1/8-inch holes here, okay? And that's what's in the guitar top, okay, in the soundboard. So I know those are going to line up exactly because we have an 1/8-inch bamboo skewer going down through there. Okay, so the reason you don't drill these out to their full diameter, you want to use a reamer to take them in the rest of the way and get the taper in there. Now you got to remember, a bridge pin is tapered, so you can't just have a hole that is one diameter, and obviously you'd have to have it at the larger diameter up towards the top of the bridge pin. Now if you do that where that bridge pin is tapered, there's going to be a gap down through the rest of the hole, and not really ideal. So you want to get a bridge pin reamer. They make violin reamers, and there's different degrees. I can't remember what this one is, maybe 5. I could be wrong about that, but in any case, that's what I'm going to do. I'll take it in from there with the reamer. Now, as I mentioned before, if you have one hole, let's say, that's off just slightly, now I'm not talking off a mile, but if it's off slightly, you can actually manipulate things with your reamer and kind of straighten that stuff out. Now, I've done that before on different, projects, like I said. So that's just something to keep in mind. And, you can do that by just leaning the reamer one way or the other. I've even held the guitar up on its side so the pressure's on the bottom of the reamer if I want to move the hole that way or in any direction. Now, again, this is slight. It can't be off a mile. If it's off, a 1/16 of an inch, you can probably get it a lot closer, let's just say. It's not an exact science, but I just wanted to pass that information along. And you want to make sure that it is tapered, like I said, because, if you just have one diameter hole, and like I said, it's going to have to be at the largest part of the bridge pin, because if not, the rest of it's not going to go down in there, and it'll be sticking out of the guitar, obviously. So, if it's a hole that's too large, the bridge pins are going to want to push up and pull out when you're tightening the strings, and it's just not optimum, like I said. So I thought I'd share that, and that's a pretty good little hack with the tape that works out really well. And then, again, you can do it with calipers and lay it out that way too, which is, pretty much exact as well. But this was just a quick way to do it. Good visual on, where the bridge alignment is, towards the neck and towards the back of the body, and also side to side. And again, I just put a piece on the body for reference, lined that up to it, and made a center mark on my bridge, and then one on the tape. And that was it. And it's just really a matter of putting the tape on nice and straight, and you're good to go. I center punched the holes through the tape, and I did leave the tape right on when I drilled them out too. And, that worked good. I used a brad point bit in the drill press, 1/8 inch, like I said. And that's my procedure on getting that stuff lined up. Now that looks nice and straight. It's going to cover everything. And again, I need to trim the wingtips back just a little bit. I left them a little bit long, and I did make this just slightly wider, just to make sure it was going to cover. Now, I will remove a little bit of the paint back before I glue this on, just to make sure it's going to have good adhesion to the wood, and we should be good to go. Again, I need to finish sand this, round a few things over and on the edges, just clean it up, and then we'll get it glued on. Okay, so before we get going too far, I want to go over one more thing here. So what I've done here is taken a straight edge, laid it right down the center of the fretboard. We have a squared end here on the straight edge, right? So if you look real close, let me get you out of the stand here. Basically what I've done is lined the fret up on these two marks on the straight edge, and I'll be able to push the bridge in tight to the squared end here, okay, like this. So I can move that a little bit, but if I push that up right up to that squared end, I know that's squared to the fret wire here and everything. So what I'll do is take a piece of tape, I'll hold that in tight, get a piece of tape on there, and have an alignment, or a reference mark, I should say, so when we do get ready to glue the bridge on, we don't have to guess at it. Now, I will double check this with a straight edge and everything when I glue it on, but That's just a good way to get things squared up to the fretboard and whatnot, and you know it's going to be straight on the guitar. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. We also need to put a slot in here for a saddle. So I'll be marking that out. We're going to put a through saddle on here because, you know, that's what they had originally. That went all the way through. So we're going to copy that, which is a pretty easy way to go about it, honestly, in my opinion. You can do that with a few different tools, but we'll get to that. So we need to get the saddle slot cut in there too. This is a 21.5-inch scale length. And I do want to add that the saddle is pretty close to the edge. Now I'm going to put it on an angle slightly for the bass string, close to 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. But that's going to get us in the ballpark. I'm not saying the intonation is going to be spot on this, but should be able to get it pretty handy, honestly, and hopefully it will play in tune, and should be a lot of fun. All right, let's keep going. Okay, well, we got the bridge pretty much ready to roll here. We got a saddle slot all cut in there, and got the wingtips flared out, and we've got it thinned down. I checked the height of the bridge off the nut with a straight edge to make sure when we put the saddle in, it's not going to be, you know, a mile high and have action that's a 1/2 inch tall down here by the body. Should line up pretty good. So let's get it over on the other bench. We'll get the glue out and get some go bars. That's how I'm going to actually pin this down. So let's do that right now, and we'll get this thing glued up and let her dry overnight. Okay, so I'm just doing a dry run here with the go bars. Just kind of makeshift. It was some pine and whatever I had laying around, but they work good and puts good down pressure on here. So what I'm doing is just checking the alignment here. So if I line this last fret up on these marks here, which is 28.5, and then we go back here to the bridge, well, we have a squared end that we can actually use to help line this all up, okay? So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I can move this just slightly, you know, on a skew if I need to. Looks pretty good right there. All right, so I got to get a damp cloth out for the cleanup and all the squeeze out. We'll get the glue out. I'll take this all down and put some glue on, and then we'll set it all back up and let it dry. Okay, so I'm just putting a piece of paper in there to catch any glue that drops down through the holes here. And I've already put a little bit of hide glue on. Just going to put some more on, make sure we got good coverage all the way around. And yes, it's going to squeeze out, but it's a nice thing about hide glue or fish glue. It cleans up with just some water and you're good to go. All right, a little bit on the bridge here. Now I've roughed the bridge up too, just so it'll take the glue a little bit better. You don't want just a, you know, real smooth surface. That doesn't always work out so well, but should have a little something for the glue to grab onto if you can. All right, that'll take care of that. Now, what we're going to do is use our bamboo skewers, which we've been using right from the get-go here to help line things up. Let's see. All right, that's the right hole. Looking good. Now, after I get everything pinned down, I'm going to pull these skewers out because I don't want to glue those into the guitar either. And, you know, there will be some squeeze out that comes in around these holes. So those will all get removed after we get all the go bars set up. Okay. Now, I'm going to wipe off some of this squeeze out right now just to get rid of a little bit of it. And I don't have it all stuck over my hands while I'm doing this. Okay. All right. Well, first move, we've pinned the wingtips down. We got a ton of squeeze out here. So again, I'm just going to take some of that out now. After this is all said and done, you can take a damp cloth and clean off what's left, but you want to try to get as much as you can. All right, we're going to add a couple more here. Put one right in the center. And we should have one in the back here as well. So I'm using just quart drink coasters here, or pieces of them for padding. Works really good, and it doesn't mar up the wood really bad. I got the wrong one. And I would say they were inexpensive. They used to be, but the last time I looked for quart drink coasters, they were pretty pricey, honestly. But I do use them, and it's nice because, like I said, you can break them up into pieces and just hang on to them, and you can reuse them over and over again. Okay. Just making sure to try to clean this up as good as I can right now. Need to do a little wipe on that wingtip right there. Okay, now I need to adjust these just a little bit too. Alright, I'm going to start removing some of these bamboo skewers out of the bridge pin holes now. I've just checked the alignment again, and everything looks nice and straight and square, so these can come out. Now we'll add a couple more go bars here just for good measure. I just want to make sure it's pinned down there good and snug. Everything's looking pretty good here, so we'll just double check, and like you said, I think I can add maybe 2 more, and that will take care of it. Someday I may actually even make a real go bar setup, and I gotta trim this one back just a little bit. But for now, this is just how I do it. It's kind of makeshift, and basically you've just got a shelf above the bench here, and just take some small pieces of wood, put a little bow in them, and wedge them in there, and that pins that right down nice and tight. Okay, I think that is pretty good. I'm just going to go around it with my cloth one more time, just to make sure it's nice and clean. That's another reason why I like using the go bar versus using clamps. The cleanup is a lot more accurate, let's just say that. So you're able to get around all the edges really well. Now, that looks pretty good to me. Both ends are pinned down really tight. That's what we want. Okay, I'm just going to take one last check here and make sure this is squared up, and then we'll call it good. Now, that's it right there. That's good. Again, this stuff takes time. I've been shooting, the footage of this over the course of the last couple weeks. I do apologize for the lack of content, but multiple sclerosis has been really kicking my butt for the past 3 weeks. So, it's been very incremental here lately. It's a very awkward and odd disease. Sometimes I have pain in my legs, or I can't feel them at all. The past 3 weeks, it's been right in my spine, basically in the middle of my back. And it feels like a boa constrictor wrapping around it or something. It's just brutal. It's taken my breath away pretty much every day. So I'm getting through it though. I'm starting to feel a little better, and hopefully that goes away. So this is a little shot of the shelf above the bench. And as you can see, pretty simple. And again, it's nice for the cleanup. I really do like using the go bars. They work quite well. I did get a comment yesterday on one of my videos from one of my friends, Dan Twombly. He's up in Limestone, Maine, working away from everything. Basically, it's a lot of Canadian French radio stations that you can't understand, and there's really not much to do up there. I've been from tip to tip in the state of Maine. I've worked up in Madawaska, as far as Portland, and everywhere in between. Up in the county, they call it. Where you working? Up in the county. Madawaska was pretty much the tip. Fort Kent, too. Madawaska was known as Madtown. Really not a lot to do up there either. But in any case, he was bummed out that I hadn't been posting videos, so here you go, my friend. You know, there's 600 and something videos on this channel, too, which I know he's watched all of them probably 5 times, but, you know, I'm trying, buddy. Good luck up there. Don't work too hard. All right, folks, we'll see you guys real soon. And I'll get the saddle made. We're going to make one out of deer antler. I got to dig out some antlers here. I've got a pile of deer antlers and moose horns and stuff. They make a really nice saddle. I think they sound really nice. Really, really durable, too. So I'll get the saddle made, and hopefully in the next video, we'll be listening to the Lone Ranger giddy up here. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Be good. Okie doke.